Coming up on this episode of Two Right Turns, the Clemson football podcast. It's Mother's Day weekend, but we're talking to a couple fathers of Clemson football players. Keith Brooking and Brayden Jacobs, formerly of the NFL, join us to talk about their sons, Brayden and Logan, and talk about why these two established NFL veterans wanted their sons to continue their football and personal development here at Clemson. Two Right Turns starts now.
To take those two right turns, and when they make the final turn, they can begin to hear the crowd and the noise of the open end of the stadium.
Here it is, the most exciting 25 seconds in college football.
Hey, everybody, and welcome inside Studio C of the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute for another edition of Two Right Turns, a Clemson football podcast. My name is Ross Taylor, and on this show, over the last year or so, we've heard from players, we've heard from coaches, we've heard from support staff, we've heard from celebrity superfans. Today, it's time to get the parent perspective. So I want to invite our two guests today to introduce themselves by their names and the names of their sons.
My name's Keith Brooking, father of Logan Brooking.
My name is Brayden Jacobs, the father of Brayden Jacobs.
And it's a Clemson football podcast, so we identify you by your sons. However, most of the football world will probably know many of the accomplishments that you all had in the game. What were kind of your journeys and your football backgrounds?
So I started my football journey, man. It was a good one. It was long. Started playing the game when I was 6 years old. Grew up just south of Atlanta. Ended up getting a little bit of traction in recruiting my senior year in high school. I got two offers. Georgia Tech and East Carolina. Decided to go to Georgia Tech. Played 4 years there, 94 through 97, and just keeps getting better. Got drafted by my hometown team, the Atlanta Falcons, in 1998, and played 11 years there. 3 years in Dallas, 2009, 10, and 11, and then finished up Peyton Manning's first year in Denver with the Denver Broncos in 2012.
Brayden?
Born and raised in the state of Louisiana, southern Louisiana. Started playing football around 9 years old. Never had a consistent yearly, where I played, then I stopped. I played, then I stopped. Honestly, I didn't really like it. It was too hot. It just wasn't something I wanted to do. But it worked out. Played till I played 9, 10. I didn't play 11. I didn't play 12. Then I went again out at 8th grade, played. Then I played as a freshman, quit in high school midway through the season, which I never thought I would really do. And then I didn't play my sophomore year. Then I went out my junior year, played like half the season, and started getting recruited. My first letter came from the University of Georgia, and that kind of changed me, just going through the process. And my senior year came, started getting a bunch of offers. I ended up signing with Auburn, but I went to junior college for my first 2 years because I wasn't eligible due to grades. And then I went to Auburn for a year, then transferred from Auburn, a transfer portal when we had to go down. I went to Southern Illinois and got drafted in the 4th round to the New York Giants, where I played there 8 years and won with the 49ers. So won 2 Super Bowls. So I think I left it all out there.
I feel pretty confident it's the first time we've had a yellow jacket and a Saluki on the podcast, so you guys are breaking new ground here. Though our director of athletics is a Georgia Tech grad, so you may not be the last here, Keith, if we can get Graham on at some point. But I asked y'all to share that in part because one of the things I love about this podcast is our audience is so diverse in terms of age. And there are a lot of folks who remember what you all have done at the college and pro levels, but for some of our younger fans to remind them that like y'all didn't just play, y'all were dudes. I mean, Keith, 5-time Pro Bowler. Brandon is the all-time rushing touchdowns leader in the history of the New York Football Giants. So whenever y'all bring your resumes to the table, it's not, well, I played a couple of years. No, I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch y'all's careers and to now be able to watch the development of your sons. And so we'll get into their recruiting processes in a little bit, but I just want to hear from you all. Really, tell us who you're as a parent, both as a person, player, and what should Clemson fans expect from them?
Yeah, Logan Brooking, he's a great kid. He's the oldest of 4. We have 4 kids. Logan's 18. We got a 17-year-old daughter, Ella. Jonah's 14, and 10-year-old daughter, Willa. So he's the oldest of 4. He's been a good leader for his 3 youngest siblings for sure, and just proud of him. Like the whole recruiting thing took off so quickly. I introduced him to football when he was 8 years old, and he played flag for a couple of years, and then started playing tackle when he was 10. And just loved the game from the beginning. I never forced it on him. I introduced it to him, and he fell in love with it. And I thought he was a decent player, you know. And then his sophomore year, he kind of took off and started playing really well. And just once you kind of get that first offer, man, it was a snowball effect and started getting a lot of attention. And just very proud of him. And he stayed very humble and has worked his tail off from the beginning. And you know, when he's not to, I know you want to get into recruiting later, but he had a lot of great options. And the first time he came to Clemson, like, I look at my wife about an hour into the visit, and I told her I was shutting my recruiting down. So I kind of knew I knew where I wanted him to go. It was his recruiting, it was his decision, but he definitely chose the right place. This is a perfect fit for him, and he's been here for 4 months. He was an early entry, and we talk to him more when I talk to him most days, but when we're here at Clemson hanging out, we very seldom see him, which is a good thing. And every time we talk to him, there's just complete joy and happiness, and he picked the perfect place, and I think he's a great fit for Clemson. There's no doubt about it.
And Brayden, what about Brayden? Brayden
is a big, awesome kid. Love him to death. I was hard on him. I was really hard on the kid coming up from the age of when he first started playing football. He didn't fit what I thought he should be to play the game. My wife wanted him to play before I wanted him to play. And I just didn't think he was tough enough. I really coming up, like, you're the biggest kid out here, but you're not destroying anyone. Like, I wouldn't be afraid of you if I was watching you play. But it stayed like that all the way up through. You got the 10th grade. Brayden is. I started my. Let's go back. I started my own program for him to play football because I didn't want anybody else coaching him because I knew he was a softer kid, and I knew other coaches would probably just throw him to the wayside. Even though he was big, he wasn't that aggressive. So I ended up coaching Brayden from the age of 7 all the way up through 10th grade, and it was awesome. It was awesome to watch him grow. But he still was. He still, like, to me, never really came through to be the kid that I really thought that he could be. Not saying he never did his job. He did his job correctly every single time, every time. But for me, with my mentality in football, he wasn't just destroying people. You're not taking them and just burying them into the ground like you should be doing. You blocking your guy, you holding him right here till the running back passed by because you big and strong, and you was able to do that. He thought he was just doing his job. By no way did the kid ever think that he should just be like, why do I have to destroy him like that? He's blocked. We just scored a touchdown. Like, why do I have to do that to him? Like, because you want to make him afraid for the next time he has to come on the field and potentially get the same thing happen to him. Football is a mental game. It's a mental game. So Brayden we ended up going to St. Francis High School, a small private school in Georgia, and transferred to Beaufort for a year, and took him back to Milton with his homeboys. When he got to Milton with his homeboys, he was happy again, and he was killing people.
Just clicked?
It just clicked. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing, and this is how it is. But Brayden is a big kid. You look at him, it's some big people you see look scary. Like Peter Woods is a scary-looking dude to me. Like, when you look at him, like, man, I bet he'll smash you, right? But Brayden, you look at him, he's big, 6'8", 350-pound kid, wears glasses. You wouldn't necessarily think that he would smash you, but he would. And just going through his recruiting process, I wasn't on board with the whole Clemson movement at first. I'm like, dude, go through the process. Go through the process. But every time he came to Clemson, he just kept hearing the number 5. I'm taking 5 linemen. We want to go take 5 linemen. And he was just like, I want to go to Clemson. Let's go. And the kid, like, he wouldn't even use any other schools for anything. Like, I wanted to go to the Alabama LSU game because I'm an LSU guy. I'm an LSU fan. And I was like, Brayden, reach out to Coach Davis and see if we can go to the game. It was like, I don't want to go to the game. I'm going to Clemson. I'm like, dude, we just want to go to the game. That's all I want to do is go to the game. Just get me to the game. No, I'm going to Clemson. I don't want to even go. I don't want to talk to the coaches. I'm good. I like Coach Davis. I like LSU, but I want to go to Clemson. So I said, we can't go to the game? It's like, nah. He was done. In Clemson it was, man.
It was really noble to watch both of them during the recruiting process because they were both so convicted about it. And that's something that I think we take a lot of pride in here, that the young men that come here are so convicted that this is the right place for them. And so I want to go back to what your initial impressions of Clemson are. And I think we've actually got a photo here. Joe, Keith, you played in Death Valley.
Yes, I did.
So before we even get into the, all right, my son is now being recruited and I've got to learn more about it, going back to your playing days in college and your playing days in the pros, what were your impressions of Clemson from the outside?
Right. Well, I met Dabo, and I could just been playing football and being part of football for so long. Actually, one of Dabo's really good friends, Chris Moore, they played at Alabama together. Chris was in my wedding, one of my best friends. So just from afar, I mean, just following Clemson and just knowing the type of man that Dabo is. I mean, I knew the type of program that he ran, and really admired it from afar. But that was from afar. I hadn't been to Clemson since 1996, I believe it was, when we played here the last time. So the first time we came, really, I mean, just hearing everything that you've heard about Clemson and the way Dabo operates and his entire staff, it's all positive, and you kind of have an idea of what it's about. And it didn't take very long to figure out that everything that you've heard it's spot on. And I think just the options that, and I definitely want to speak for Brandon, but just the options that our kids had, they had some really good options. And you start visiting these other schools, it just, it gives you a different perspective. And you start looking at it as if, like, okay, if football's very sensitive, it's a very sensitive game. And I don't want, the game of football to define Logan. I tried my best for it not to define me. So there's a pretty good chance that football's not going to work out for Logan. That's just the statistics. That's just the way it works out. So if it doesn't work out, what's going to be the best place for Logan, for him to grow as a young man and set him up for down the road. And just with the environment and the landscape of college football today, and you start visiting some of these other schools and just seeing the way they operate, Clemson just absolutely, totally, 100% separated itself for me and my wife. And, you raise your kid, you feel like you raise him the right way. There's no playbook, and hopefully he's looking at things the way you look at things. And we're just praying that he would make that decision as well. Because like I said, about an hour into our visit, we had already made ours. So, and I think just not speaking for Brandon again, like, I think us playing the game, being around, football, we gain a little different perspective on things, on what's important, what's not important, and just how sensitive the game is and how quickly it can be taken away from you. So I think that kind of helps us as well, in that decision-making process and communication with our kids. And it was their decision, 100% their decision. You try not to give them too much information because they're not stupid. Logan's a smart kid. He's going to know where we stand, and we didn't want him to feel like we were pressuring him in any way. So it was his decision, and he definitely made the right one for sure.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. Coming into the process and coming to Clemson, they became Clemson was a junior day. I think Brayden might have been a sophomore at the time. Came here, and he absolutely loved it. Because I told him, like, going through the process, I'm like, okay, Brayden, you have a 4-hour distance to go to school. None of the schools that he considered his top schools that he had went to was 4 hours out. With the Tennessee, Alabama, other than LSU, was the only place that he can go that was farther because of my family that were in town, that lived there. And I got a bunch of, like, dudes that I consider my brothers that live 15 minutes, from the school. So LSU was the only place that I was looking at, that we were looking at, that were far. Everything else was in a 3-hour range. So came to Clemson. We barely ever went to any other schools, by the way. Like, Brayden had 35 offers. We barely went to any. We went to Columbia. We went there to a game. We went to UCF for a game. Went to Alabama for a game, and we didn't do a whole bunch of like junior days for like different schools and stuff like that. Once he came to Clemson, it was over. It was over. It's like, I really like it there. I really like it there. So, okay, like, give me your top 3 schools. He was like, okay, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, and Tennessee was in it at the point. So he went to like top 5 with South Carolina. And I'm like, okay, so what are you thinking? It was like, well, I think I'm going to Clemson. And one time we came to Clemson, had 3 other top linemen that they had rated ahead of him. That one junior day we came to, and it was like, this guy just decommitted from Alabama, and now he's at Clemson. I've been coming to Clemson way before any of these guys. I've been putting time in here in Clemson, came to the camps, none of them came to the camps. Clemson is where I want to be. And I know my mom isn't here, but I think I want to commit today. I'm like, your mother isn't here, man. This is a big deal. And we came in, and he was like, I said, call her and tell her I'm with it. I'm down for it, you know. And he called her and was like, hey, I think I'm done with this recruiting thing. I think Clemson is the place for me. And he over at Coach Swinney's house. He committed right there like we were eating.
I was there.
Yeah, so he wanted to do that. But back to the question, like my outlook on Clemson before, I know a guy from Louisiana came here to play running back, which is about the only thing I knew about Clemson. It was Chad Jasmine. He was play running back here at Clemson, and then C.J. Spiller came out when I was in the league. I didn't really know a whole lot about Clemson, but when Brayden started going through the process, people started asking, okay, so what's Brayden thinking? And it was like, well, I think Brayden liked Clemson. Everybody was wondering, like, why Clemson? Like, why you want to go to Clemson? I said, well, what's wrong with Clemson? It's a Division I school that plays in the ACC. Listen, man, my kid loves it there, and that's what we're going to do. You know, everybody trying to discourage him from coming. All these other coaches, like, had all this bad stuff to say, and he was just like, man, he kept his head down, and he just stayed focused on Clemson. Like, teams are really telling him, like, you don't want to go there. They don't do the transfer portal, which to us was a plus. Mm-hmm. The kid loves Clemson, and he's today, right now, I can call him and say, hey, you got any regrets about your choice? No. It's been great here. Expectations are great. Like, the thing I like about Clemson here more than any other school that I've been a part of, and I've seen how the recruiting process works, Clemson is the same after signing as they are before signing. They treat you the same. There's no difference. Coach Swinney won't ever walk by me unless he's in a rush without saying something to me. Coach Luke won't ever walk by me unless they got somewhere to go, and they'll still acknowledge you and turn around backwards and still going on the way to where they're going and still talk to you. So it's been the same here in Clemson. And I wish, as a football player growing up, I wish I could have had an opportunity as a player to be playing at a place like this.
You all both talked about the Elite Junior Day and the commitment and everything. And I'm going on my 8th season here, an 8th recruiting cycle here. And the infamous program meeting, right? Coach Swinney gets everybody in the room and lays out exactly who he is, his vision for the program, where he comes from, what we're all about. I mean, it has taken on kind of a life of its own, and it's a long meeting. Y'all sat through it. But one of the more memorable moments of my entire tenure here was at the end of the program meeting you were sitting in. What happened? What did you say?
Well, Coach was just going on about the numbers of Clemson and how offers from Clemson matter. Once you come to Clemson, you're at Clemson. You know, we was telling, like, once you commit to Clemson, we expect you to stay committed to Clemson because we're going to be committed to you. Now, with the way people are handling the recruiting these days, they are forcing people to the portal and taking scholarship away. And Coach Swinney said, once you sign with Clemson, your scholarship is good till you graduate. You can break your leg. You can be half dead, but you're going to get a degree from Clemson if I have anything to do with it. He said all this great stuff, and I'm like, that's what I needed to hear from my kid, because I don't know if the NFL is in my son's future, right? So that's what I needed to hear, that he can come here and he can get a degree. Now, when he were done talking, I said, man, listen, I don't know about what you kids are thinking in here, but if I was a kid going through this process right now in this room that just heard that, I'm committing today. And I guess when I said that, I guess my own son heard it. He was like, really?
Yeah.
You know, so I just think it's a great thing going through the recruiting process. Being a part of Clemson is much different than anywhere else. So, but coming to Clemson it was different, and I loved it. Like I said before, I wish I had that opportunity as a kid to come play for Clemson. I don't know how in the world they found Chad Jasmine all the way down to southern Louisiana.
Well, we also pulled another running back out of Louisiana that happens to be the ACC's all-time record holder in rushing yards. So we've done a nice job down there. I mean, not many, but we found the right one.
Right.
The end of that day though was Swinney's speech, and it was closer to 2 hours than one for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
We exceeded two. I'm sure
it was definitely 2 hours.
Brandon and I have, again, not speaking for him, but we've heard a lot of coach speak. We've been a part of a lot of head coaches stand up in front of us and talking, and that was like, to his point, him standing up and saying that. I mean, it was 2 hours, and I was like on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like it was unbelievable, and there's obviously substance there. Dabo's an unbelievable human being, but like the numbers don't lie. It's like he knows all the numbers. He's got them all, and it's just not about the football and the championships, but that speaks for itself. But just the graduation rate, in college football today, is the crazier it gets. It's this place. I think people that are looking at it the right way are going to gravitate towards a place like this, and it only gets better. So it's phenomenal. It's not just about the football. And listen, at the end of the day, our kids. Okay, they chose to come here to get in between those lines in Death Valley and play their tails off. There's no doubt about that. They're football players, but there's more to it than that. And that's what's so appealing about this place, is that the guy in charge, he runs it that way, and he's not going to compromise. His beliefs and the way he operates, no matter how crazy it gets on the outside. So that's very comforting as a parent to know your kid's at a place that on a daily basis he's going to be impacted in that way and everything that he does.
Well, it's an honor for anybody, any parent, to trust Clemson football with their sons. But it's a unique honor, I guess, to have former NFL players, successful NFL players, have their sons choose Clemson, because you all know what it looks like, and you know the realities of high-level college football and what comes after. And for many of you who have retired, you know what life is like after that. And so what was it about Clemson? I think y'all have touched on it a little bit, but what was it about Clemson that made you all so comfortable turning your son's development, both on the field and off the field, over to the group of people that are here at Clemson?
It was bigger than football. I think that was, for me, I think because it was bigger than football, and it told me right away that my son was going to graduate, and my son was going to be put in a position to be a really good man, and to move on to do really good things in life, because he's been around really good people that's been showing really good examples on how to lead and be a person, to be a better father, a better husband, and things like that. So I think that because Clemson gave me that when I came here, family was involved. You walked in here, you met the coaches' wives, and they were here with their kids, and so on and so forth. So it was much more of a family atmosphere, which is one of the things that my wife and I love more about Clemson than anything. The football is going to be football. You can go anywhere in the country and play football. You have to be able to look at the things outside of football. You have to be able to find more reasons outside of football for your son to come be a part of something. And Clemson was the place for us to have more than just football.
Yeah, I think just, I told you my football life, started playing at 6, retired when I was 38. A lot of football, but I tried my best for the game not to define me, as I was playing it. There are a lot more important things in life, and my transition after, playing football has been pretty easy. It's been pretty smooth. So just the big picture of it is, I didn't want Logan to choose a place that, where football was going to define him. It had to be more to it than that, because what I was talking about earlier, just how sensitive the game is and how it can be taken away from you in an instant. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the big picture of it. And so playing at Georgia Tech, following Clemson, that we live in Bluffton, South Carolina now. Just a quick story for you, just kind of what this place is like and just how unique it is. And it's kind of hard to put your finger on it a little bit, but there's a lot of Clemson fans in Bluffton, South Carolina. And before Logan started getting recruited and we came up here and met Dabo and kind of saw what his program was about, knowing what it was about from afar, but really getting to know it, Clemson fans were annoying. It's like, man, like they're kind of obnoxious, It's like, and we have a Clemson fan that's a neighbor, and you can't watch a Clemson game with him. But before Logan chose to come here, I couldn't watch a Clemson game with him. You're like, what is so unique about this place? I just drove in here on a bus, in the mid '90s to play and left, But you come up here and visit, and you kind of see, like, anyone who's ever attended this school or a student at this school, like, they get their degree and they graduate from here. I mean, it's truly like it's their home. It's their second home. So it's just a unique place, until you come up here and see it. And, and it's Logan's our first of four, and he's the first one to leave, so it was a big decision, and just very comforting knowing that he's here. And you kind of get now, why the Clemson crazies, they act the way they act, and the reason they're so big of fans.
That term, sure. Clemson family, is not a marketing or branding tool. I mean, people treat this place and each other like family.
Yeah.
And that extends outside the walls of these buildings. And
no doubt.
On top of that orange is not subtle. So you will see and hear from Clemson sure. people for sure. Y'all talked about everything away from football. In the first 4 or 5 months that your sons have been here, have you seen them really buy into personal and professional development? Have they really started to take advantage of all that programming that's offered here?
Well, my son, as we speak, is in Italy right now, and just doing some work, some orphanage work with Clemson. I think it's about 50. I think it's about 50 people there, and he was one that he wanted to go. And I'm like, dude, you can't ask me. You got to ask who's ever over that at Clemson. Ask if you have been there long enough to get the right to be able to go. And I guess anybody could have went if they wanted to go. So he's there now in Italy, like as we speak, and he's loving it. He's loving it. He's here academically. This is probably, I'm talking like he's been doing really well. He loves where he is, and he loves all the different programs that he have opportunity to be a part of here. And I mean, again, as I say, it's the best option that he's made is coming here. Everything is just like it seemed through recruiting that made him excited about being here. And being here, going through spring football, I thought he's done really well throughout spring. And he's in love with this place. And I have coaches reaching out to me now like, hey, if he decides to leave, hey, let us know. I said, dude, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. I've already asked the kids certain questions. Hey, what if Clemson bring 4 tackles in that come from the portal who started at other schools who are going to say, well, they're just going to have to beat me out for my job. That's it. I'm not leaving. So I tell them, like, I'm going to stay. He's here at Clemson for so many other reasons, just more than football. So he's been great. He feel like he's made the best decision. And again, he's taking advantage of opportunities that's offered here. And I just can't wait to see him go year after year.
Yeah. Has Logan been similar?
Very, very similar. Yeah, just the things that are in place here academically. He has quite a few hours of study hall and tutoring weekly that he has to get in. The Paul Journey things, the meetings that he has weekly, that's setting him up. And the football stuff, I feel like that Joker's waking up early in the morning and working out and just really maximizing. We had plenty of conversations with Logan. We've talked about how great this place is, and like everything it's right here for you. Like it's up to you to push them all in and give the full effort on a daily basis. And if you do that, there's still some things that aren't in your control with injuries and things like that in football. But as long as you maximize your opportunities that are there and everything that's set up for you there, and all the resources they have, like it's on you. And I feel like he's definitely doing that on a daily basis. And there's a learning curve. It's the mental aspect of the game is totally different. And you try to have conversations with him about that before he gets here. And sometimes you just got to figure it out. You can talk all you want. And I think he's kind of starting to figure that part of it out as well. And he's from everything that I've seen and heard, and I talk to him most days. He's all in for sure.
Y'all talked earlier about Coach Swinney and obviously his unique personality, what he believes, and how he operates the program. But both of you have had obviously very well-known, formidable coaches in your own backgrounds. Keith obviously playing for Dan Reeves, among others. Brandon, Tom Coughlin. I'm not surprised, actually, that you were here early, and we started this early, as my understanding with Tom Coughlin. If you're 5 minutes early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late.
That's it, absolutely.
So obviously, Coach Swinney, a different style perhaps than some of the coaches you all may have had in your pasts. What stands out to you about him and his coaching style, and maybe in contrast to some of the coaches you all had growing up?
Well, from what I've seen and actually being here this past spring, I'm like, so I like the person Coach Swinney is off the field and the person he is on the field. He's the same person, right? But he also has a side to him that's like, okay, I'm cool. We can talk. We can get along if you're doing what you're supposed to do. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I turn into a different Coach Swinney. And that's what I've been able to see, like a coach that can that can flip a switch and go from 0 to 100, as a lot of coaches do. But a lot of coaches walk around with that 100-mile-per-hour attitude already, right? So you're like, damn, I don't want to say too much to Coach. He seems like he's having a bad day today, right? But it's every day like that. Coach Swinney's not like that. You can walk through here, he's cool. He's cool till he's not, right? But when he's not, you earned it. And that's the type of coach he is. Like and I think he's part like player coach as well, but he also can be that disciplinarian coach if he needs to be. So I like the style of person that Coach Swinney is.
And he's figured out that line where he can be demanding without being demeaning. Yeah. And I think that's really so important and so critical. And I think a lot of people from the outside maybe see the jolly guy in the press conferences coming up with all the quotes post game or whatever, and they mistake that for lack of being demanding or lack of being competitive. And he's as fiery and competitive as they come, but it's not going to come at the expense of, he's not going to be demeaning and ruin a relationship with a young man.
Yeah, I think he's got that mic at the spring practice. And you know, like from afar, like, you know, I said before, like, you know that he does things the right way. And to win as many games as he's won and to have the success that he's had, like, he holds his players accountable. You know that. So you know that going into it. But still, man, the first couple of Brandon and I have been to a lot of the practices this spring, and he's got that mic. He is not afraid to call somebody out and let them know they're making a mistake. So it's very entertaining to watch. There's no doubt about that. And I think you can, you know, genuinely, like, he's a great man. Like, you can't, like, all the head coaches we've had and coaches that have stood up and talked in front of us, like, you can't fool us. You can't fool your players. Like, the players, they're going to figure you out, you know, down. So you're around them a lot. And I think you're able to conduct yourself that way and coach that way, coach them hard like that when your players know you love them and you care about them, you know. So I think that's the recipe. And that's so evident, you know. You spend time with the guy and the way he operates. So I think you can coach them hard like that. They want to be coached hard like that. If they know you love them and you care for them, just not out there on the football field. So in other ways of life. So that's very important as well.
My kid doesn't know anything else but hard coaching, and he tell you, like, now, like, I never ever gave him a break. Once you told me what your goals were, this is how you have to go about your business because of your goals. You set your goals, not me. Fortunately for yourself, the goal you set, I'm familiar with the road, the path of getting there and achieving that goal. So this is what we have to do. So from the time he said that, and from the time I've been on him and pushing him, working him, and making his life uncomfortable, doing things, that's just what I am. That's just who I am as a father to him. You know, again, I was just talking to Keith earlier, like, but the minute you tell me you don't want to do this, I'll back up and I'll just be the person that you asked, that you born into the world under me as your father. So, but he understands hard work and dedication. That's all he understands is hard work, and nothing else is going to get it done for him. So, and hard coaching is something he's definitely used to.
Well, both of them have been great fits so far and off to a great start. It's incredible to think. I mean, early enrolling has become so commonplace that we forget that, you know, in a a generation past, these guys would still be high school seniors, but they're so integrated into the program now and have had great practices. They're doing well academically, as y'all mentioned, really plugging into everything that Clemson offers here. So we're going to take a quick break to have a little fun here. So thanks to our friends at Darlington Raceway, we're going to have our pit stop. And so we want to draw upon your pro expertise. We're going to forget about Clemson for a second, forget about our Suns. And we wanted to know if you all could put together an 11-man unit from your side of the ball. So Brayden, anybody in the NFL who played during your tenure in the NFL on offense, Keith, you can put together an 11-man unit of anybody who played in the NFL on defense. I want to know who those units are, and we're going to decide which of those units would win if we put them on a field together. And I'm looking forward to see which of your former teammates you make mad in the process.
Reggie White, Von Miller, Warren Sapp, and Vince Wilfork are my front four.
That is a nightmare defensive line.
Huh?
That is a nightmare.
I'm of Tom Allen. Okay, I want my 4D linemen.
Yeah.
The more big bodies I can have up front, the better. So I'm starting with that. There are definitely three better linebackers than me. Ray Lewis, Derek Brooks, and Brian Urlacher.
Okay.
3 linebackers.
You need to think about your
I'm
four
going with
defensive
Clemson,
backs.
Brian Dawkins at strong safety.
Love it.
Ronnie Lott at free. Deion Sanders at corner.
Darrell Revis.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I couldn't let you forget.
There you go.
Couldn't let you forget.
So a couple of those
Revis Island.
create you a little bit, yeah.
That's just right off the top of my head.
I don't think you need to apologize for that list at all.
No, I think it's pretty easy. I mean,
yeah, we know
front
the guys,
four. It starts with the front four. I'm trying to.
So you know what you're facing.
I want to make sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Walter Jones. I'm gonna go with Kevin Mawai center. I'm gonna go with Larry Allen. I'm gonna go with Willie Roaf.
A whole lot of gold jackets.
Yeah, it is. And then I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Chris Nee, one of my guys at guard. Turn around, we'll get Terrell Owens.
Snee, that's a good part.
I'm gonna go Terrell Owens. I'm gonna go Randy Moss, Jerry Rice. I'm gonna go. I'm trying to think. Tony Gonzalez at tight.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go. I got to put Tom Brady at Q. And I'm going to go with, at running back, I'm going with Marshall Faulk. And I'm going fullback, I'm going to probably go with Allstott.
Those don't no longer exist.
They don't really exist, but I'm thinking.
I like it. That's a good choice, though, Brandon.
You might
Very
want
good
one against
choice.
that defense you put together.
Yeah, no, we're gonna run at you. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna run at you.
That's Coughlin coming out.
We're gonna do old school play action. You got a 4-2 guy that's 6'5" on the outside. You got another big strong guy who's 6'2", 6'3" outside, run good routes, blocking good, and it's gonna be tough.
Very good.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my call to the comments. Everybody on Spotify and on YouTube, we want to know, give us your vote. Who's going to win that battle? And honestly, I wish we could put that on pay-per-view with everybody in their prime, because that would be an unbelievable football game.
No doubt.
Are you taking Brandon's offense or Keith's defense?
That defense is nasty, though. It's nasty.
That'd be a fun one. So we've got a little bit of a bonus question. We won't make it a full-on trivia question, but as we prepared for this episode, we looked up. Keith Brooking had 14 career tackles of Brayden Jacobs, including a couple we got pictured here, although it looks one of them Brandon might have gotten across that goal line, so I don't know if that one counts or not.
No doubt.
There are only...
His knees down. No.
It's down on the goal line,
I see some space.
There are only 7 players who tackled Brandon more than the guy who's sitting in the room right now. Brandon, is there any chance you might know any of the names of the guys who tackled you more than Keith did?
I'll probably go with Dawkins being one of them.
He was not.
He was not one of them. No, then I don't know. That's probably was the only choice, the only option I had. But it probably some other NFC East guys, though.
A lot of NFC. Doubt. I think all of them are NFC East guys just by sheer number of games played. The leader is actually a guy I worked with in Washington late in his career, middle linebacker, London Fletcher.
London Fletcher, okay, definitely one for sure.
London Fletcher's the leader. Brady James,
Mm-hmm.
as well as DeMarcus Ware, Trent Cole, Mike Patterson, Reed Doughty, safety, kind of a wild card there from Washington.
Reed was not afraid of anything.
No.
That little dude would be in there, and you always see somebody on the field wearing like a 38 or 37 or something.
Yeah.
You never thought they would be bringing. He would think he was 37.
37.
And he was always there.
Yeah, he would always find himself in the mix. And then Gaffney, South Carolina's own Rocky McIntosh. That segment was presented by Darlington Raceway. Be a part of the track's 75th anniversary and the NASCAR playoffs on August 31st. Log on to darlingtonraceway.com for tickets to the track that's too tough to tame. It's fun for everyone. Now back to Two Right Turns.
Little fun fact for you. Do you know Brayden Jacobs had a tackle on me?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You're bringing your own trivia to the Darlington Raceway pit stop.
2011, Eli, he ran to the flat, and Eli, I mean, I was shocked. He just threw it right. Like, it was like, there's like three dudes open behind us. So he threw it right to me. And this was 14 years into my career. So I lost half a step, not a full step, a half a step. And this joker runs me down from behind and gets me. So
yeah, I remember that.
He could run like 6'4", 255, 260. Is that what you played at?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And could pick them up and put them down.
Well, I'm not surprised he made the tackle.
And I could run,
yeah.
But 14 years in my career, I couldn't run as fast. But he drug me down from behind. So
well, and this isn't a little scat back either. This guy played running back like he was a linebacker.
Game plan was you got to get him before he gets going. You got he cannot. We played him twice a year. 3 years in Dallas.
Yeah.
He could not get to that second level. They couldn't even get 2 or 3 steps into the second level. You had to get him before he got to the line of scrimmage because with that body and he could move. Once he got his momentum going, 13, 14 years in my career, you start making business decisions. It's when you just got to hit him low. You gotta hit him. And I didn't mind physicality, but you got to get him low. He's going to fall forward. He's going to get that 2 or 3 yards forward. So
and Dallas Cowboys always got my best shot every time. Every time
those are wars. Those Giants Cowboys games of that era.
All the time. I think I scored the most the individual player that scored the most touchdowns against the Cowboys out of anybody.
Oh yeah, it was
throughout the history.
I think historically, playing in the NFC South, with the Falcons for so long, the Saints are our biggest rival. Panthers and Tampa. I mean, it's but you get to the 3 years in the East, it kind of changed. I think historically, I don't know if the Cowboys, probably the Redskins historically is probably. But then it just goes from year to year. All the teams hate each other. It doesn't really matter. But when I first got there in 2009, it was the Giants. The entire locker room for the Cowboys, couldn't stand the Giants.
You know why that was?
It was y'all got us the year before in the playoff.
Yeah, something
you got us. I think we were. Yeah, you got
Cowboys
us the year before
were the one seed.
Yep, it's something
was the one thing.
It's crazy because they were in 13-3. They beat us twice that season. They won the NFC East. They won the NFC East. They won the whole NFC. So they were the number 1 seed. And we go to Texas Stadium. And we
get them.
And we beat
they
them
got the
with
bye
an
week.
interception. It was the best win ever in my life. Best win ever. Better than 2 Super Bowls.
So y'all's locker room, it was more Cowboys.
It was more Cowboys. Yeah.
Your entire career there.
In my entire career, we couldn't stand the Dallas Cowboys, and then the Eagles.
Yeah, and as a Dallas native and someone who worked in the NFC East, we could spin off on this for hours. I'm sure it is incredible though. I don't think anybody's won that division back to back since 2004. I think when Philly went on that run where they were in the NFC Championship every year. You had Brian Dawkins on that team. Jeremiah Trotter Sr. was on that team.
Trent Cole on that team.
But I bring up Brian and Jeremiah. I mean, Jeremiah has come up through Clemson and gone on to win a Super Bowl with the Eagles since the last time a team has repeated in that division.
Pretty cool.
So it's just incredible that so much parity. And it seems like someone always comes up every single year and challenges whoever has the throne. It was a lot of fun to watch. Still continues to be.
No doubt.
Great competitive conference. It's just the physicality of it. It's changed. It has changed a little bit since then. But you got to know when you're playing anybody from the NFC East, you're gonna get hit in the mouth.
Yeah.
You got to be able to hit 4 quarters, and you got to be able to get up consistently and do the same thing. So
you look at the Commanders now. Great young quarterback. They had a good year last year. Philly obviously win the Super Bowl. Giants and Cowboys get their stuff right.
They got to get it together, man. Let's hopefully. I don't know what the Giants got planned this year. I know I like our draft. I like the way things went with the draft. I don't know what they're going to do as far as the big boys up front. We've been having some injuries that have been holding us back there. So I want to see. It's always the healthier you are, the better your chance you got at the end. So let's see.
Yeah.
And we like their multi-time Pro Bowler defensive tackle. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's so. Dexter, I mean, if that defense is healthy, and Dexter is playing great, the defense is going to be ranked top 5 in the league every time. Dexter is in the middle of that thing, can't move him out the way. He's in there making jokes, laughing at you while he's running through.
Yeah, he just impacts so many people.
Yeah,
no doubt.
He
dominant force.
So. We'll see. Like I said, in the NFL, the healthier you are, the better chance you got to win. So we'll see what happens.
It's the case in all football too, especially now, 16, 17 games to win a national championship, and you're not supplementing with free agents mid-year. Health,
no, the numbers keep
injury
going down.
and luck are going to continue to play a massive role in college football as well. As we kind of bring it back here to Clemson and to your sons, I'm curious because both of you have raised now Division I athletes, but they're doing it at positions different from the ones you've played. And so this will be kind of a 2-part question, one for each of you. Brayden, is it odd to see your son opening holes rather than running through them? And Keith, any sadness, saltiness that Logan ended up on the wrong side of the ball?
No saltiness. He his sophomore year, like I was telling him, I was like, your ceiling's higher at defensive end. He just wanted to catch balls and score touchdowns. So, but that's just where his heart was. He wanted to play tight end. There's no saltiness at all. He's never really come close to play. He played linebacker a little bit in the rec stuff and in middle school. And then when he got in high school, he started outgrowing me his freshman year. So, he really didn't have the frame to play linebacker. We put him on edge on the outside on defense and then tight end, which fit his body type perfectly. But there's a lot of guys, give me, they give me a hard time about him deciding to play offense. But he does not mind. He actually played offensive line in high school. Not really, but that's all he did. All he did was block, so they didn't throw him the ball very much. So he doesn't mind putting his face in there and getting physical. And I think just that defensive, playing both ways, playing every snap, every game, his high school career kind of gives you that physicality, and it definitely carries over on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Brayden has always been the offensive lineman. He's always been the biggest kid, and growing up playing ball, like in little park ball, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for offensive linemen. So he was always the biggest guy. He wore number 27 on the offensive line. And I think that was partly because of his mom. She wanted him to wear that number. But I put him at fullback one time to carry a dive into the end zone to get an extra point for us. But other than that, he's always been a lineman. And people always say, like, well, what do you do when you're training? Well, he's a big kid. I played the more athletic position, so he's going to be a big athletic kid. So we're going to work on the things that I will work on at running back. I'm going to work on that with him, for having good feet and just athletic ability. We're going to work on how not to be clumsy as a big kid. So he's a big kid that can move around pretty good, and that's me bringing a little bit of my expertise on what I can do to a kid that's his size. I can't teach him how to kick slide. I can't teach him how to block down. I can't teach him how to do any of that because I never did any of that. I had to pay somebody to be able to do that, and I worked with him with the things that were more my forte. So I feel good about it. Playing running back in today's football is not the best position to play. You're underappreciated, and I wouldn't want my kid to be to play that.
You mentioned putting Brayden in the backfield. This is the home of William Refrigerator Perry. So the fridge did come out of Clemson. Obviously, our jumbo package, as we call it, the fridge package here at Clemson has taken on a life of its own. So let's not pretend like we might not see Brayden back there at some point.
Well, I mean, I put him in there. Again, it was an extra point. I put him in there, and we ran a 31 dive. Quarterback just snap it, turn left, and hand it to him. He took it with his hands, had no idea how to take it, and he just bulled through everybody in front of him and got into the end zone and didn't know what to do once he got there because it was only a 2-point conversion. So the kid, again, I never thought to put him in the backfield. There's probably one other run I put him back there. I ran a lead with him. Somebody led up, and he scored like a 60-yard touchdown. And he was just running. I think we might have that film. I might better get it to you guys when I get back home. But it was it was awesome. He was 7 years old at the time. So Brayden, like again, he's an athletic kid to be so big, and that was fun to watch. But I know that wasn't going to be his position.
Does Garrett watch this?
Oh, he'll know.
Come on, let's go, huh? It's up to him now.
He'll know.
That'll be fun to watch.
I don't think you'll fully appreciate the amount of lobbying that goes on behind the scenes for those spots.
Yeah, I know it.
You all have talked about your own experience and how perhaps that might have impacted how you raise your sons and their football development. I'm curious, what lessons would you share with other parents who are about to go through a similar process?
The number one thing I would say is what a lot of people probably have problems doing is sacrificing sacrificing NIL for happiness and caring and loving atmosphere, right? You might have somebody offer you a bunch of money, but that atmosphere is not the best atmosphere. You feel bad by getting up every morning, going to the facility with coaches you don't even want to play for, but it just gave you all of this money, right? So people need to, I would rather parents get back to actually caring who's coaching their kids versus caring more about what they're giving them. That'd probably be one of my biggest things because that's what we did. It was like, you know what, we don't really care about all of that. It's going to come when it comes. Whatever they give you, take it, and we're going to go make more, later on. We're going to go prove we can get more later on. So I would always say I would put NIL absolutely last in the recruiting process.
Well, I'm going to interject before you go, Keith, here. It's been great to see that it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive either, that we've got young men on our roster doing very well here, whether it's third-party true NIL within the sponsorship and partnership space, ref share theoretically coming down the pike in the wake of potential house settlement, and that this is a place where all of that comes as it's earned, and very similar to an NFL model where when the rookie cap went in 2011, it made it so that the veterans that had earned the opportunity are rewarded thusly, and it seems like it's very much the model here as well. Keith, I apologize for cutting you off.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think just going back, just the introduction of football for Logan, he was never forced to play it. You just gotta, as a parent, just organically let it happen. We introduced football to him. He loved it. I pushed him. I challenged him. I coached him up until, middle school. And then when he got to high school, the coach there at Savannah Christian wanted me to be a part of the staff and help out. And I told him, I will 100% help out, but I'm not coaching my son. I'm good with that. I've coached him enough. He needs to go to someone else now. So if he plays linebacker, which I didn't think he was because he kind of started out growing me, I was like, I'll coach another position. I'm comfortable coaching defensive line or secondary or whatever. So I think there was a time to where you kind of got to let them be, and they got to figure it out, and they either have it or they don't, and then. As far as the decisions, as far as the NIL and stuff like that, I mean, I'm all about just, getting what you earn. The pay in before, you get to this level and actually produce, Now, let me tell you something. College football, the way it's set up now, if Logan comes here and he produces and he balls out, then he deserves it. I think it's just that's the position that he's in. That's where college football is, and I'm all about that. But we never based any of our decisions on the money. I never had if anybody brought it up to me, I turned the conversation somewhere else. I didn't care. We're in different positions. Certain people can't probably think that way, and if I was in their position, I may not think that way. So We never based any of our decisions off of that at all. Now it's when you get here and you produce and you do what you're supposed to do, then I'm all about it for sure. That's where we're at today. So
a lot of successful parents hope that their kids might be able to go and recreate their own success. But if there is something that Brayden and Logan could do differently or better than you, what do you want that to be?
Oh, that's a great question.
Something they can do, I don't know, better person or overall person than I was, because I was different and I grew up different than what he was, and I wasn't as, I want him to be liked by everybody. I'm liked by barely anyone. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that, so it's fine with me. I'm an acquired taste. But I want everybody, and even that, everybody won't love you, but I want Brayden to be just this solid a dad, a solid husband, and just a solid person that everybody loves. That everybody in the neighborhood could come to for something, that he'll help out everybody around him. That's probably what I want, because I didn't care enough about a lot of people to help a lot of people around me. I was just always worried about myself and the people, and my close people around me. I want him to be a little bit better than I was as a man.
And you say this as your son is on a service trip in Europe.
Right. Something I probably wouldn't even do.
Yeah. Keith?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I could have done better, but I think if I had to choose just one, it would, I was the first person in my family to go to college, to get a college education. So, and it was always like, Tech is a very tough place academically. Like, it challenged you to the core from that standpoint, but always just did enough, So if there was any advice, and this, I don't have to give this advice. This comes from Mama. This comes from my wife. It's just the academics. Just focus on them, more. Put more attention and focus into that, and just as much as you do, in the weight room, on the football field, and everything you do to have success, in the sport of football, do that in the classroom as well. Put more focus and attention on that. I could have taken that more seriously for sure.
And it's funny how much that translates on the field too. Just being a person of excellence and everything. As Coach says, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of what we have, like, in my house, right? My wife is big on academics. She's huge on academics. That's all she ever had her attention on was academics when it came to the kids, which is good, right? And I'm glad we have that. We have that dynamic. I can focus on sports. I can be the guy who focuses on just straight athletics, right? What you got to do to be better here, what you got to do to be better there, because she has the other side of it in academics, and that was more, she put more time in there. So having my wife, I'm thankful that I had, like, she is the way she is, because the way Brayden turned out was probably 90% of her. And again, I was the first person to graduate from college in my family. I had a couple people go. Well, I was the first person to get a degree in my family, and so Brayden, he has that pressure's off of him. So again, academics was something that my wife pushed. I was one that was like, okay, well, she got that. You got to make sure you run out here and get these gassers or hit, like that. So our dynamic worked out for his development. It's probably the best, because I don't know what I would do if I had to be a single dad and have to concentrate on both of those things, academic and athletic. I don't know how smooth that would go, but having my wife through this process has been absolutely phenomenal. She's been great going through the process and supporting him. She's been a great mom to him throughout him playing football, being there when I'm hard on him and he wants to quit. She's been there for him. So, I mean, she's played a great part of the process as well.
Well, and this is perfect timing too, because this episode is going to drop on the Friday before Mother's Day. So shout out to the great wives and moms out there. You were very much appreciated. As we wrap up our time here, I just want to kind of give you all the floor. If there any message you all have to Clemson fans as we enter the 2025 season.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited about the season. I coach high school football, volunteer, and just going to be a lot of sleepless weekends, traveling up here and following the Tigers and supporting my son and supporting the Clemson football, and just looking forward to the journey. Like, Logan, he was obviously an early entry with Brayden. we're kind of hesitant. I'm all about 4 years of high school, and Clemson didn't pressure him, but I'm really glad he got up here and kind of got his feet wet and got adjusted to school academically and just the weight room, and got to go through spring practice. And I think it was a good decision for him, and he's very excited, and we're just excited for the season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to 4 great years, maybe 5 great years, depending on if he redshirts. And it's a great place. Everything that we thought it was, and I know Logan, as a family, just my wife and I, we love everything about this place, and it's more than what we thought now that Logan's here, and just seeing how happy he is. And if he was sitting right here today, he would say the same thing. So we're just very excited about the journey and what's to come. And they look really good on paper, that's for sure. They got a lot of guys coming back, and we're just excited about the season. Hope they can stay healthy and be where we all want them to be at the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it and being a part of the program and paying attention to the program for the last couple of years, I don't think one team in college football has had the quality of players that probably could have went into the draft and been first rounders this year come back for their last season to try to put something together to win a national title. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the season and just watching how everything unfolds. I think right now is one of the best preseason rankings. I think somewhere around top 5 that they've had. So I mean, it's because of the guys, and that goes to show people about Clemson, what Clemson is about. Guys, when they get opportunity to leave and get a first or second round grade, they're gone. Those guys come back to Clemson. And it's come back to Clemson for a reason. So I'm looking forward to the season. A lot of sleepless nights, like Keith said. Good thing for me, we're only 2 hours away, though. So after every Friday night, Blessed Trinity pad up, we probably going to get up and drive up that Friday night so we can enjoy the day of a full day of Clemson football with tailgating and whatever else is going on around. So we're really looking forward to the season. Brayden's looking forward to the season. He thinks that the team will be super competitive and be competing for a national championship, and that's the energy in the air in the locker room, because that means a lot. When I ask him, I say, Brayden, what's the energy like in the locker room? What's the energy like, guys around? Who's talking about winning? Who's talking about playing in that final game of the season? So a lot of people are talking about it. Like, winning is in the air, the energy is high. I said that's when you have something, because the energy is in the air, and you only talk about winning. You only can't wait to get to this point in the season and talk about winning. So he said that there's a lot of that going on. So I said, well, now that you say that, you guys might have a really good chance, because you got to talk it into existence. And if you don't do that, then you never have a chance to really get it. He said the energy is high, and he loved it. So we're looking forward to the season as well.
Spoken like a man who has Super Bowl rings to show for it.
No doubt.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you both so much, not only for being here today. It's a pleasure to meet you all in this format rather than in the A-Gap, which I know y'all had the pleasure of doing for so many years. But we appreciate your time today, and more importantly, we really appreciate your trust in Clemson's program with your sons.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you for having us.
So this will wrap us up from Studio C and the Clemson Athletics Branding Institute. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow along for the next episode of Two Right Turns, a Clemson football podcast.